Hi. Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So for example, we have a $100 case, right? We break it down 50% aluminum, 50% whatever other material. The $100, there is the 20% that will get charged automatically for the entirety of the 100. And then if you break it down 50% of the aluminum, which is $50, you tariff that 25%. So now we're at $12.50. So 20 plus $12.50, we're at $32.50.
Right.
And then if we do the 50% of the rest of the material, which is the remaining $50 of that case, that will get charged 125% reciprocal. So that entire case, the $100 case, will get tariffed at, I believe it's $95.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so now we're paying $195 for a $100 case.
So what do you do?
You gotta pay them. You know, like you can't abandon the container. You can do that, but there's potential lawsuit.
Right.
But it took me 25 years to build a relationship, entire supply chain. I don't want to ruin my credibility.
It's like, how are you supposed to come up with a plan when your plan 10 minutes ago is already like out the window? It doesn't make any sense.
Pricing, I mean, we stopped shipping to the US right now. And we are losing money on everyone we sell.
So how much are you losing right now if you sell one of these at $140?
I would lose $91.26
Jesus Christ.
for a whiteboard puck.
Oh man. We even convinced competitors of 3 decades to go on camera together, even touring each other's US-based pre-built computer factories in City of Industry, California. That GN, which has shown a hypercritical spotlight on both iBuyPower and CyberPower pre-built PCs, can convince these 2 competitors to go on camera in each other's own American factories, says a lot about their uncertainty around tariffs. Is all your assembly in this building, or you have?
No, we have multiple buildings.
Okay.
In the United States.
Yes.
All
in
of
the
it's in the
US.
United States.
So usually we do have a lot of OT because of that whole tariff going on. We're not doing OT for the last few weeks.
How many employees do you guys have?
Here, around 200.
And I want to point out some irony here. Right now, our solution is we're not shipping into the United States, and we're depending on other regions to be able to move forward. CyberPower manufactures their products here in America. They don't have other regions to do that.
See where the irony is going.
So at a certain point, we may not collapse because we're able to sell internationally, but CyberPower is effectively an American-based company.
And what % of your business is in the US in terms of purchases, I guess, or orders, whatever?
About like 80%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
80 plus.
Or more.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, possibly more. It would be close to 80 to 90%.
Do you think this kills some American companies? Not necessarily anyone's here at this table,
Sure.
but
This is like a high-stress event. This will kill some people.
and the common theme talking to everyone wasn't necessarily the percentage amount of the tariffs or the taxes, but the instability, uncertainty, or unpredictability, using the manufacturer's words, of how these tariffs were rolled out. What do you think is the biggest problem or challenge with how these tariffs are being rolled out?
Forecast change. The entire dynamic doing business changes on, you change on a daily basis.
I think it's just like there's no consistency.
But this time the problem is with they're changing constantly, everybody's wondering like, oh, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen next week? But if it keeps changing, then we have no idea when this will resolve itself or normalize.
I just hope there's more certainty.
A lot has happened, like a lot of changes in the news cycle, a lot of like confusion.
But yeah, this is very different, and I think the uncertainty of what's going to happen next week is what's causing all the markets to be very jittery.
With things changing daily or weekly, I think this is more off-putting for any business than it helps. It just makes things a lot worse from my perspective.
And with this, if I see a tariff of 20 or 40% one week, 50 to 60 a day later, then I see it 120%, then I see, well, electronics are maybe exempt, and in Bloomberg, and then I see on Truth Social, no, that's not actually happening. I have no idea what that means, so I can't make decisions because it's not about it being a high tax. It's about not having a clue what's going on.
We brought you this video with store.gamersaccess.net. This video cost us over $10,000 to put together due to travel and production time, not counting all the opportunity cost of skipping videos for a week to make an important piece. To support our audience, we're maintaining our prices for all current inventory despite cost increases on incoming orders. We seriously need your help to continue making videos like this. Head over to store.gamersaccess.net to grab one of our brand new GB Paper Launch t-shirts featuring a GPU going into a shredder, our honeypot foil t-shirt, or our large PC building anti-static mod mats with pinout diagrams and screw tracking grids. You'd probably also like our extremely heat-resistant silicone project and soldering mats, which also provide a high-quality work surface for all kinds of work, including, of course, soldering. You should also check out our tabletop RPG and gaming dice sets with 7 sharp edge resin dice in each kit, including either embedded actual e-waste inductors or Snowflake the Cat miniatures within the dice and the included wooden box, also featuring an included guard. Heads up, all of our products will eventually be affected by tariffs in some capacity, even the ones made in the US, like some of our glassware, because upchain logistics much larger than us are already affecting the supply chain. We're committed to maintaining our prices as long as possible to try and weather the storm together with the audience. It's likely we'll have to raise them eventually, but for now at least, you can go to store.gamersnexus.net to support this kind of on-the-ground content while getting something awesome in return. Thanks for your help. Now back to the program. This was a big adventure. We booked a one-way flight to Southern California, spoke to Cooler Master 15 minutes after landing, drove to the City of Industry, and spoke to 4 other companies the same day that we woke up at 3 a.m. and flew across the country, made an existential bet.
Well, whoever diced first was better, okay?
Yeah, that is likely the real barometer.
Deal.
All right. We've got it figured out. Now we'll know. We'll know which one of us was better at being obsessed with work.
Packed everything, rented a car to drive up the coast, attempted to ask local wildlife about tariffs.
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me what you think about the newest tariff exemptions? No comment.
Came to a sudden realization.
Take a breath before he dove under. This whole trip is really just an excuse for tying to fuck around.
Continued driving to San Francisco to ask Corsair this.
Which product category contributed to Corsair's growth and why was it RGB LEDs?
Yeah, well,
Flew to Austin, Texas to see this guy.
Oh, fuck you.
I mean, seriously. Got back on the plane and flew to North Carolina, then got in a car, drove to Wilmington to go here.
We shipped all our growth there.
And we were coast to coast in a matter of days. We learned a lot about tariffs. For this story, we spoke to a lot of people and companies to learn their perspectives. We met with and filmed discussions with companies ranging from the size of an independent repair shop in Austin, Texas, to the publicly traded Corsair Components, which did over $1 billion of revenue in 2023. Some people are taking the tariff situation harder than others.
You not tired yet?
Huh? Tired?
Not tired?
No. We're already rolling.
That's great. I'm over it.
Okay.
Sure.
You want me to not include that or include that?
I think the torture is part of the story.
Got it. Does that over related to the tariffs?
You can't unmake an omelet, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Now, what might happen is our Home Labs products, maybe the differential for the offshore built stuffs, maybe it's gonna lessen.
Mm-hmm.
And
you mean like the gap might close?
Gap might close.
So in other words, saying that are you saying the competitors competing Home Labs product will approach your price?
Yeah, they'll probably come up. We deliver value today. Hey, if that lessens, well, advantage us, right? It's all good.
And we want to hear all of their perspectives. Although everyone today feels the same way about the uncertainty, some feel that way for different reasons. With over 8 hours of interview footage, we have to cut these down for time, but we're not filtering what anyone is saying. The whole point is finding people who say things that we might not have thought of, and that includes things we may agree or disagree with. In order of appearance today, the discussions come from Height, a computer case and cooling manufacturer in City of Industry, California. Thermal Grizzly, Berlin, Germany-based factory with worldwide contract factory uses for liquid metals, thermal paste, and components used in the components, giving it a deeper supply chain position and EU insights to speak from. Cooler Master, a manufacturer of PC and industrial components alike, like automotive heat sinks. Cooler Master owns many factories in China, but also works with contract factories worldwide. Straight Forwarding, a freight forwarding and logistics company that the other companies hire to figure out how to import products to the United States. Straight Forwarding would have the most precise knowledge here about the tariffs of our group today. Rossman Repair Group, an Austin, Texas-based repair shop that imports soldering equipment from China and sells tools for its online store in the US. Corsair Components, a mammoth of power supplies, system memory, solid-state storage, and nearly every other part. Corsair CEO and founder Andy Paul provided executive-level insights. Protocase, part of the 45 Drives NAS and server provider family. Protocase is a contract manufacturer that makes its own server cases in Canada and just opened a new facility we drove out to in Wilmington, North Carolina. CyberPower, a pre-built PC manufacturer with an assembly factory in City of Industry, California. iBuyPower, competitor to CyberPower, also with its assembly plant in City of Industry, California, and parent of Height. This was a huge trip with a ton of last-minute logistics on our side.
To begin to understand any of this situation, though, we need to go back to the start of this journey of getting the story. It's been a quick one.
A timeline would help start us off. We've tracked the evolving tariff landscape and we'll try to summarize its changes as briefly as possible, publishing the entire timeline with our sources on the website linked below, but here's the short version. The current U.S. administration announced it would be imposing a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico, but then decided to pause those tariffs before deciding to unpause them, and then they were paused again, but only for cars. Then some exceptions were made to take into account agreements signed regarding the USMCA, a North American trade agreement Trump signed during his first term. Beyond Canada and Mexico, the administration announced varying widespread tariffs on most other countries, including many that manufacture PC parts of this industry, like 32% on Taiwan, 36% on Thailand, and 46% on Vietnam, but soon let off the gas on that plan for 90 days and instead relegated most countries to a 10% across-the-board tariff. Meanwhile, new tariffs on China, not counting previous tariffs that have been in place, started out at 10%, only to rise to 20%, and then to 54%, and then 104%, before ultimately landing at 145% all in the last couple of months. Some of these even were happening in the middle of our meetings with these companies. The U.S. administration most recently said that the tariffs may go as high as 245% on specific goods with inbound docking fees, so it's still developing. Eventually, some exceptions were made for electronics, which include smartphones and computers. Then the president said that no tariff exceptions had been made, and that the administration is looking into further tariffs on semiconductors. As you can see, these are Schrodinger's tariffs. As long as you don't open the container, goods are both tariffed and untariffed. And during our trip, the tariffs changed day by day. April 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 13th all had developments in this timeline.
But at this point, we can't predict anything, and our business relies on consistency and predictability.
So when we asked the companies this question, do you happen to know what the tariff rates are right now? The answer changed based on the hour of the day that we spoke to them.
Oh, there's a 100+% tariff.
All in all, we're looking at about 145 with the new tariffs imposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
To our understanding, it's 145%. Yeah, that's
general.
Yeah, general.
The big number. Okay. So the big number that we just had that is official as of last night, we have 125% plus 20% plus the 25% that happened in 2018. So that would bring your total to 170%.
Here's why we're talking about all of this. Consumer prices will go up as a result of this activity. Some people may hold a view that this is a necessary short-term pain. Others may hold a view that it's unnecessary. We're just here to talk about what's happening. Manufacturers like Height, Meta PCs, Encase, Razer, Asus, Lenovo, Framework, Dell, and Nintendo have already been in the news for price increases, for duties being passed on to customers, or even just halting shipments to the US entirely and drying out that market.
So do you guys send them somewhere else, the product?
Yes, we try to develop them to countries, different regions.
So when current inventory goes out,
we're dried out.
This becomes a complicated topic, with many branching valid reasons for price increases and some branching less valid reasons. Some manufacturers may smokescreen and use this to increase prices more than strictly necessary, which we'll talk about today as well.
For people asking, well, these companies they're taking this opportunity to use the tariffs as a smokescreen to permanently increase the price.
As for valid reasons, there are many. Most of you likely know that ordering more units gets a discount. We'll give you a real-world example with us. If we order 23 t-shirts, we pay $4 more per unit than if we buy 100 t-shirts, and $5.25 more per unit than if we order 576 t-shirts. These are real price deltas for us. Here's a computer part example using some real numbers. The higher tariff cost causes reduced liquidity due to higher import taxes, which causes a reduced order volume, which causes a higher cost per unit due to worse economies of scale, causing higher tariff totals on those units because the cost per unit goes up and it's tariffed at the same rate, causing a higher cost of money via interest because most products are brought in on credit, causing the customer to pay more. There's a ripple effect that isn't as clean as just the percentage tariff.
You have higher costs from tariffs, does that then potentially impact your order volume?
Absolutely.
And if it impacts your order volume, then does it also affect your economies of scale and your price per unit?
Yes. If, let's say, dollar volume stays the same, but your cost increases, that your economy of scale and your quantity is just going to drop. So that might